All right, so welcome back to part 3 of class 7 of light body healing. And we're all kind of floating around in our divinity, our fabulous feminine, having gone through the Sirius Stargate, through the Queen's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, and recaptured our feminine essence, our ability to create, that part of our inner eye that sees not like this, right, but sees through the intuition. And like all of you, I'm probably feeling a little bit woo, 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 woo. So what we're going to do now is I was sharing with you here, let me put it back on. I really feel like this embodies the essence of the feminine. So this is a flower we have on our deck here that I went out and took this picture this morning. There's another picture of a few of them. You see they change in their color, their reflection, right? Remember, color is a reflection. Some of them are darker purple, some lighter purple. They all have this inner womb that looks like it's light, looks like it's lit up. And you can even see this one on the side where you can see how long that womb is, that inner part is. It has 5 petals, which is a divine number. And I felt this was, each petal looks like a heart shape, all leading that heart, that gathering of the all down into that light center, that light womb, that light wormhole. This is a perfect representation of who we are and what we have activated today. So what I would like to do now is to have you share. I don't want to have to ask again and again and again. So whoever is ready to share, please unmute, and I will put you on the spotlight if I can, if you're not on the phone. And I would like to hear what your experience was of this and how it relates to what you've been through and where you're moving.
This is Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. That was just so beautiful and amazing and wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've had so much happen that I haven't posted because it just felt like too much to try to get down. And the thing that's the most amazing to me is that when I was finally able to go back and redo the activation, I did the other one for several days and I didn't get the email for a while. I was taken back to this point in behind of my space-time continuum that was so beautiful. I found myself in this storybook cottage that was made of stone. It was made of white stone. And what I saw in front of me was this light that began at this point, expanded out through me, out through the stone walls, out through everything, and contracted again into the point, and expanded and expanded and expanded. And I just sat there witnessing this amazing luminous beauty. And it was the first time that I had, and I journaled about it, and I talked to Thoth and Gaia and Merlin, and I'm like, tell me about this. And they're like, this is it. This is your experience of the divine, is not something you journey to way up there, in other dimensions, 300 billion whatevers away, but it's right here in front of you. And your mission and your job is to bring it into you. And anytime a fear, a worry, a doubt, a pride, whatever comes up, you come here and you bring it into this point, and you allow it to expand beyond. So this is what I've been sitting with for the last week or so. And then the next time I did the journey, I was taken to another point in front of me, was parallel of the one behind. That was the same thing that I saw when we were in the Chamber of Light, Atlantis. That vision of me on a stage, shining, not lit up just by the lights that were shining on me, but lit up by that light and shining it and it expanding everywhere. And the sense I was given was that they were parallel. The one creates the other in the future, and that this is. So when I went through the journey today, my fear was of seeing. My fear was of seeing and of being seen. and giving voice. It was like of my own voice and seeing it.
Did we lose you? I heard you saying your fear was of seeing, of being seen and seen. So I'm going to comment on that while we wait for Julie to kind of come back on. This is the number one fear on the planet, is being seen. And I talk about the burned at the stake syndrome, and I'm speaking from a very high level. There's many people who have that fear, but they don't term it that way, of course. They term it as, well, if I speak up, people will ridicule me, I'll be outcast, I'll be judged, I'll be whatever. But it is the deepest fear that humanity has, because its number one fear is getting on stage in front of people, and the second fear is being burned to death. Good God, right? The whole idea of being burned to death for your for expressing yourself is pretty intense, because you'd rather burn to death, right? You'd rather burn to death than be seen on stage. So being seen and expressing who you are is the biggest thing we are all releasing, because the consequences of that are very tangible and very painful in our past, and for some of us right now. And they affect our ability to be connected, embodied. Donna, I don't know if you're on here, but if you can call Julie and just let her know that she fell off, that'd be great. And so the idea of being seen is huge. And that's what this is all about. Because if you step into the light, what happens? If you step into your light, what happens? You're big and shiny, and you attract lots of moths. And you do. You attract all kinds of people. And this is where the mastery comes in, right? The mastery right now is beyond. I've been teaching and creating programs, from my little meditation groups in my house of 5 or 8 people to teaching the Melchizedek method to 3 to 5 to 6 people, to being globally known and having an enormous global list, reaching out to, I mean, I even have clients in Madagascar. I'm sure there's places on the planet I don't, but it's not about an ego thing. It isn't even about a money thing. It's about the platform of spreading light. And so when I began doing my soul readings, I did some investigations into a few famous people. So Julie, if you come back on, just jump in, okay? And what I found fascinating was Oprah. Now, I can't say that I know Oprah that well. I've probably never seen most of her shows, and seen 1 or 2. I've seen clips, you know, she gave away a house or whatever, you know, lovely things. But she didn't come into my radar until her reality shifted from being a news anchor or an actor or a regular reality show, blah, bullshit crap, until she shifted into light. Her purpose came through. And then you understand that everything else she did that seemed egotistical and may have been driven by money or power or influence or whatever, I don't know. I'm not claiming that I know any of that about her. But anyone that you perceive that to, understand they're building a platform to disseminate information. And all of a sudden now she had a platform to be able to bring love and kindness and gifting and giving, and then spirituality and Eckhart Tolle and so on and so forth. So who are you in this mass multiverse? You back, Julie?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I came back twice and apparently wasn't visible yet. So
that happened.
I realized, and I'm not sure what the last thing you heard was.
I know you were talking about how you came back and forth in your realizations throughout the weeks.
Right. Okay. And then when I was in the journey, what I realized was my deepest fear was being seen. And it was kind of funny. I'd been guided to drink all kinds of water and fluid beforehand. And just after you released us to our journey, I had to run to the bathroom. And I'm weeping and weeping and weeping, and all of this is releasing and releasing. And I realized as I come back that the fear wasn't of being seen, by anybody else. The fear had been of seeing my own divinity, of seeing me, and of being seen by me, and that had been the deep fear all along.
Ah, so beautiful, because it's
Yes.
exactly true for all of us, right? In order for us to be in reality, what we call physical reality, we have to be seen by something, because when we're the essence, we don't need to be seen. We just are.
Yeah,
We
exactly,
are the
exactly.
beingness of it, but it's the being seen, it's the being loved, it's the being acknowledged that creates the meaning in the physical reality.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But when we claim it to be the witness for that for ourselves, that everything changes. And
Yes.
when I came back, the essence of what I felt was that light that had been so close but out here, then it was in here. That was what I brought back from that journey. That was what I brought back from Sirius, was that sense of that beautiful, magnificent white light. And it was at the Lion's Gate 2 years ago, almost to the day, that I had revealed to me that I was a white dragon. And here we are with the white snake. It's like, oh my God. Yes. And here I am coming full circle to seeing that in myself, and seeing that as myself, and seeing that as the Isis in me, the white snake in me, the divine in me. It just was so beautiful and powerful and amazing, almost to the day.
And that white hair, all that intuitive power you got going on there, baby.
Oh yeah. Yeah. People ask me where I get this done.
Hey, that's done by nature, baby.
My dad had a secretary who had white frosted hair, and nobody would ever believe her. So she would say to them, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's very exclusive. I can't tell you."
There you go. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I know. Like, what an incredible experience, that 2 years ago and now, and the Lionsgate. And it was so interesting because I knew the Lionsgate was happening and the eclipse was happening. And I
Yes.
did the call last week, and I kept asking, am I supposed to do a call now? And they're like, just friggin' relax. You like bird the new earth. It is moving through all of those phases. So each of those days I was having my own internal experience with it, and we, as we all do, and the acknowledgement of that is so beautiful. The white dragon is a version of a white snake, right? It's
Yes.
the same
Yes.
thing, and it's even more powerful and more mythical and more, and breathing the fire, right? We much more think of the breathing the fire with the dragon than we do the snake. It's the same
Yes.
thing,
It
right?
is. It's a winged snake.
Yes, it's the combination of our crown chakra with that inner eye chakra that has the wings. The dragon has
Yes.
that
Yes.
essence. So beautiful. Thank you, sweetheart. As always, love you so much.
You too. Thank you.
Who else would like to share?
It's me, Ronnie.
Yay, Ronnie! Oh my God! I've been waiting for this one. You've been doing some serious shit over there. I can feel her, and I'm like texting her, I can feel you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know where to begin. So, okay, so should I start with the exercise or what's been happening?
Honey, don't give your power away. You just start wherever you want.
Okay, here it goes. Okay, so this past weekend, I did a workshop. Yay! I know, it was so freaking awesome. Yeah, the girl came all from San Francisco here to be with me, and then it's like the coolest thing happened. At the beginning, she was resisting, and I am so grateful that she tells you everything in your face in a loving way. So she said, Ronnie, I'm resisting, and I went like, yeah, I know that. And I didn't freak out. I just went like, that's fine, that's okay. So I did a healing on her. The thing is that she was having a massive bladder infection. She couldn't be sitting down, she couldn't nothing, and then her joints started to hurt. So she recognized, yeah, this is my resistance. And I went like, okay, say goodbye. So I did some healing on her. My God, she was healed completely, 100%. Up to this date, it's like nothing happened.
Yes!
I know, right? I know. I mean, like, and she keeps repeating, Ronnie, this is a miracle. Ronnie, this is a miracle. I was about to go to the clinic to go see urgent doctor because I couldn't stand this. And it was healed completely. Wow. And then the whole weekend was just I had my program, da da da. Of course, I didn't do what I had. Like I went like, okay, fuck the program. Let's do this. So,
All right.
so I did a lot of the what you're being teaching us, the bubble, but I didn't go deep. I just went like a little bit like I went like, okay, I know I'm gonna learn how to do this, but I feel the calling that I have to teach her this. So I just went with it. And then I taught her the bubbles and here, and then the violet and green light, and like the expansion, and then the golden cone of, I just taught her that, and then other things that I knew from other practices. She was completely transformed. It was like, Ronnie, it was the second day, the day that she was leaving, she was completely in surrendering mode. It was like, it's like completely open. I've never seen her that open. It was just whatever, and everything started clink, 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 clink. The aha, she had a shitload of breakthroughs, and she went back to her normal life, and she's like, I see people differently. I am completely present. I am aware. Oh, we did the scale, the stage scale. So she acknowledged every scale, every feeling, and she's like, that's okay. And she was so attached to that. So she is completely transformed, like completely another person. And she I mean, I can't tell, like I can't even remember all the transformations she's been saying, this and this and this and this. And then suddenly I just said, like, I just invited her to keep work. No, she asked me how can she keep working on me before I said it. And I just said, like, yeah, 1,500. And she said, okay. My first client, 1,500. Oh my God. And I didn't feel like, you know, I felt like, of course this is worth it. Yeah, it's 1,500. I've had to divide it in 6 months, so it's like $250 a month for 6 months. But who cares?
That's okay.
I don't care. It's $250 a month. Who cares? But it's my first client of $1,500.
Yes. And they asked you, right? That's the key, right? They said, I need you. I want you, right? That's what I want you all to get. That's what we're doing, is igniting the fire inside of you. So they come to you and say, I want this. I'm ready for this.
Yes. So she is like all the way in, and it's like, oh my God, this is and I don't feel the slightest thing inside of me like, oh yeah, but what if she can't pay? Fuck it, it's 1,500. That's it. I'm worth that. And it's like, okay, a few clients of that, and then soon, like before the year ends, we'll see if I keep the same prices or not. It's like, let's, yeah.
Be in the moment, baby, and receive.
Yes, like seriously, it's like, and I feel so comfortable with everything.
You look completely different. You look completely different. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, you're gorgeous, and I mean, you were always gorgeous and feminine and all that, but there's a different essence to you. And those of you who know her, you know, comment. It's true. You look like.
Oh wow. Yeah. So I feel uh, amazing. I did the exercise for the last class exercise, and I didn't do much that because I was like, yeah, motion sickness. But I tap into that energy, and I feel good. I feel so good. And with the exercise we just did, I went like, oh shit, here we go again. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Wow, when I arrived, it was like going back in time and seeing all the buildings, seeing everything when I was there. It's like, oh shit, they're gonna burn me again. No, 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 no. And the moment that I arrived, I started levitating. I was not walking, I was levitating. I was just there, like seeing everything, and I was levitating. It's like, oh my God, they're gonna see me. Oh no, 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 no! Don't see me! Don't see me! Don't see me! And I was just levitating, levitating, and then we went inside the chambers, and it was like, oh my God, I was here. I was like, I was recognizing everything that I was looking at. This. And then when we went like up, the expansion, it was so vivid. My whole body started to like palpitating, like boom, boom, boom. My physical, me, Ronnie, here. I came and laid in bed because I said like I don't know what's gonna happen, and like okay, better be in bed. So my whole body was palpitating, like boom, 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 and and oh man, I was in the nothing, in the nothingness. Nothing. I was nothing. There was nothing. And with the nothing, it was expansion of everything. It was so beautiful. And I went back to the root of my biggest fear, which is that I am God. My biggest fear of being God, because that life was so traumatic that I ascended in that life. I physically ascended, and my body went to the nothingness because I ascended before they came and burned us. So I ascended with something that stayed there. That was the biggest fear of accepting that I am God, which is what I was teaching, which is what I was bringing out. And wow, it's a big one to swallow. It's a huge one to swallow, but yeah. So that was the experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing. You know, for years now, all of you, right? Been going through a lot of stuff, and it's not easy. And that is the biggest fear. Oh shit, I'm God. Have I fucked up? Am I not using it? What will happen if I use it? Will anybody like me anymore? Nobody likes the boss, you know. We were talking the other day about Chris's mom, who's been at the top of her field in the mortgage industry for a long time, and at one point she was promoted from being one of the people to the boss, and instantly the next day they didn't invite her to lunch. You know, she went to lunch with them every day. So you're no longer one of the people when you're the leader, and when you acknowledge what everybody else needs to acknowledge. And so
Yeah, and one thing, what the last experience of the exercise is that uh, when I went through the phase of I am God, I started going further and further and further and further, and then I saw this geometry symbols all over, and I kept going up, 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 up. I don't know where, and then it was the earth, but beyond the earth, and higher and higher and higher and higher, and it's like this is your expansion. I don't know where I went, but it was a place that I'd never been, and this it was like it was like seeing the secret geometry from way above. I don't know how to explain it. It's like seeing the secret geometry from the galaxy and seeing all these pieces coming together, all this, the symbols coming together, like putting all these pieces, bah, 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 bah. And the further I went, the further I went, like everything, even among other, like other kind of like between galaxies, there's layers between galaxies. So those layers, they start coming, and the symbols, they start like between layers, and it was so incredible. I don't know what's the name of that, but it was, yes, it was intense because I've never seen that before, and I don't think I've gone that far, like up there.
I love it. Well, see, that's the truth, right? The truth is that we're source, we're God. And we are creating all of this from the higher levels. We call it higher because it's a higher vibration. Higher vibration means you have more clarity, you have more vision, you can see more, right? You got on the top of the mountain, you can see far as, oh, there's a valley and there's a lake, and there it's the same thing. You're seeing how we take that massive void of every possibility and go into form, into form, into form, into form. That's why we're descended gods. We descend into form by taking this massive divinity and going into this shape, into that shape, into this shape, into that shape. And so if years ago I was in a spiritual group where people, there was a couple people in it who really felt like they were being punished by being in a human body, like that was a bad thing, and if they were really good they would ascend out of their human body. The reality is the opposite. We are so divinely blessed, and it took massive intention and power on our part to come into our bodies, to be here, to want to like take this massive all knowing all everythingness of who we are and put it down into this form, and then acknowledge that we're that, and yet not be able to experience that on every day. It's amazing. And so we've been through cycles and cycles and cycles of, who am I? What am I? I think I'm God, but I'm not. Why not? And now it's just time for clarity. I'm a fucking God in form, and I'm creating life, and I'm helping people, and I'm kicking ass.
Yeah, and you know something? I don't even care about making questions. It's like, yeah, it's like, who am I? I'm Ronnie. That's it. Like I don't need to know more. It's like this feeling of being complete and whole, and it's like, yeah, it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the essence. The essence. It's like the answer of everything. That's it. Yeah.
Well, you're gorgeous. You're just gorgeous beyond any gorgeousness you've been before. There's a glow and an essence. And thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on this journey for 2 years with me, right? Just opening each gate as it goes and coming to this point. Look at that. When I'm talking to my list saying, please get prepared for this moment, please take advantage of this moment. And everybody's been preparing their whole life, all of their lives. But you've been coming to these events for 2 years now, opening door, a little bit of door, and the next door, and the next door. And that's what we want to do, is just follow our path every single moment, so that when these opportunities come, it's just I was so excited to hear about your event this weekend, and what a blessing you've been to her, and then everyone she blesses. So remember, it's the ripple effect, right? You might only touch one person, but who are they touching? Right? Yeah. So, love you.
Love you.
All right. Who else wants to share? I am going to ask Mr. Jonathan to please share. I don't have my glasses on, so if you're like somewhere you can't.
I knew you were going to ask me to share, because I just poked myself in the eye, because I had a quick second to actually share. I had to work today, which is kind of annoying, because I usually have one day scheduled off, but I just am so moved by the idea of being in, when you said in that meditation, or when you were channeling about the about being an ascended master being on earth now, it was like really moving to me, because I was like, duh, no wonder it's been such a ride here since I got on planet Earth. I have been paying quite a bit of attention to the activations and stuff like that. Been listening to the replays of the class quite often. The light body symptoms can go to fucking hell. So at any point in time, I'm ready to live a liberated life. So once that's over, I'll be pretty happy. My life in general seems to be an unfolding cascade of joy and bliss, but my body, on the other hand, is kind of at a point where some space would be nice. Some well-adjusted space. So I'm looking forward to, the upcoming 2 weeks that I've created for myself to take a long overdue trip to Toronto. I think that's been something that I've been looking to create for quite a while. And as far as that goes, this activation that we did today was pretty intense, and I loved every minute of it. And it really worked my solar plexus and got me in a position of where I feel the authority over my life, and being unwilling to be the supreme, the divine authority over, the governed, the sovereign divinity, the divine aspect of myself, instead of being like, okay, well, what can I have as long as everybody else is willing to have it too? It's kind of like, all right, let's let that go. So I'm willing to have my sandbox, even if I have to play by myself.
That's a very profound statement, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's what I love about Jonathan, is he's kind of quiet on this class, but he's very, very profound. And every time you say something, it's extremely thought through. It's very deep, and that's a very deep, deep thought. It's not an easy path, and it's not not all the time a crowded path of our journey. And so being willing to say, hey, this is my sandbox. I'd rather have my sandbox than to have a bunch of people in it, even if I'm here alone. And then when you create the joy in your own sandbox, guess what happens? People show up.
It's the ones that I really would like to include in my life show up. So I'm moving through that professionally, personally, and also spiritually. So it's kind of interesting to watch I think that's where a lot of the light body symptoms are actually coming from. Honestly, I can't really blame the activations for it. That's not the truth. The truth of it is like having to come up with new ways of dealing with customers or dealing with clients and dealing with family members and friends and my own humanistic needs for creation and all of, like, it's just like a new way of being. And I think personally, I feel rather than I think that it's more of the upgrade than the actual light body symptoms, if that makes any sense, man. And by the way, Ronnie, congratulations. That was just really well done creating that for yourself. And Julie, thank you so much. I totally see that perspective about being the white dragon and the white snake, because I think that's who we really are in truth.
Yeah.
Remembering our sovereign divinity.
Yeah.
I love all of you.
I love you too, sweetie. It's so beautiful, the idea of the snake, right? Because it sheds its skin. It doesn't take away any of its life. It allows it to grow bigger, to expand. And one of the things about a snake is it swallows the wholeness of life. So Jonathan and was it Ronnie who were standing at the Tulum below the temple after the last day of the retreat in March, and we had called in Kukulkan, the plumed serpent, the god, the wind god, whose temple was there. We'd done a whole ceremony. We played in the ocean. We did all that, and we're getting ready to leave. And I walked by, and Jonathan, they're like staring in the grass, and there is a snake who'd just eaten a what? What was it? It was a tiny snake. It was a very small snake. So, but it had just swallowed something whole. Do you remember what it was?
Gecko.
What?
It was a gecko.
Yeah, a gecko. And
A snake was eating the gecko.
yeah. And so what's fascinating about that is the concept of swallowing something whole, like taking on those powers, taking on your new life, taking on whatever it is, swallowing it whole, dissolving it, and embodying it, absorbing it, right? And then shedding anything that's old in order to grow, to expand to exactly who you are meant to be, to embody that which you've now begun to swallow. So beautiful. I would love to hear from Kasha. Are you able to talk, Kasha? Hi, beautiful.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I was just looking up the meaning of double rainbow and sundog, because we saw a sundog, which is a rainbow around the sun on the lunar eclipse. Sorry, are you there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And I was the meaning of so we walked out of our supermarket and there was a double rainbow on Friday, and we went home and looked it up, and it was so amazing what the meaning was. I'll just look it up here. It's a symbol of transformation. Hang on, I'm just going to click on it. In the Chinese culture, red is symbolic of the feet and violet represents the head. So a primary rainbow can be seen to illustrate a human descending from heaven. As stated before, the secondary arc is a double rainbow has reverse colors. So since the red is on the bottom and the violet is on top, the human figure is ascending from the material earth to the spiritual heaven. Therefore, seeing a double rainbow is considered a very auspicious occasion and a reason for reflection and meditation. So we saw that on Friday. And then on the lunar eclipse, we saw I went outside to sunbathe, and I saw the sun was this rainbow just right around the entire sun. And it's apparently a sundog. It's another very auspicious omen. I think it's about, hang on, I have to have a look, so I didn't write down. I was just writing it down then. Oh. Ah, that's right. The whirling rainbow prophecy. So this literally, I saw this literally 10 minutes before the official lunar eclipse. All right, so I went outside, went to sunbathe, looked up in the sky, and the sun had this huge rainbow around the whole sun. And I just was like, wow, that is amazing. I found out that it's a sun dog, and Native American traditions see it as a very powerful omen. And then there is this prophecy called the whirling rainbow. And it says, there will come a day when people of all races, colors, and creeds will put aside their differences. They will come together in love, joining hands in unification to heal the earth and all her children. They will move over the earth like a great whirling rainbow, bringing peace, understanding, and healing everywhere they go. Many creatures thought to be extinct or mythical will resurface at this time. The great trees that perish will return almost overnight. All living things will flourish, drawing sustenance from the breast of our mother, the earth. The great spiritual teachers who walked the earth and taught the basics of the truths of the whirling rainbow prophecy will return and walk amongst us once more, sharing their power and understanding with all. We will learn how to see and hear in a sacred manner. Men and women will be equals in the way Creator intended them to be. All children will be saved anywhere they want to go. Elders will be respected and valued for their contributions to life. Their wisdom will be sought out. The whole human race will be called the people, and there will be no more war, sickness, or hunger forever. So that's what's happened in the last week.
Nothing big, just a few little simple things.
Yep.
Oh, what a beautiful thing behind you. It looks like a snake and a bird and everything at once. Amazing.
It's I don't know if you can see there's a woman.
Oh,
like
no, we couldn't see her. Oh, how divine. That's just gorgeous.
She's sleeping. Yeah. Sleeping Mother Earth.
Dreaming,
Dreaming the world, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
So, and I also have a bit of show and tell. I have Isis.
Oh, yay. Beautiful.
I got her in the Temple of Isis in Egypt.
Oh, nice. On the island. One of my favorite places.
Oh my gosh, I want to live there. I didn't want to leave. Once they have a rattle, so my hair's all rattle.
Oh, beautiful. And how is your Berlin experience unfolding?
Well, I'm trying to maintain this. I don't know. I'm just in the now. I just feel like I'm very much in the now, and but also working on the planning of it all. But I don't feel stressed so much about it.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, a lot of the things that are occurring now, right,
Mm-hmm.
are part of you manifesting that. And sometimes our human mind wants to, I need to know now. I have to have the security of the foundation of knowing. And
Mm-hmm.
there's these moments of transformation that have to happen before that unfolds. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So again, being in the moment, you know, accepting and unfolding in the moment and trusting that that end result will come from this for all of us is really important. So thank you.
Yeah, when I shared on the page, I think it was after I'd done the meditation you did during the week.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And that was when I was feeling quite, I don't know, like in a 0 point.
Mm.
And, but yeah, so I have been, but before that point, there was a very much an intensification of everything. Really, all kinds of problems. Not problems, but just the same old stuff coming up. Yeah. And so because there were so many directions where it was coming from, I just decided I would create my own modality. I was like, all right, this whatever I'm using, not necessarily this course, but it's just not fast enough to reach each thing that was coming up, because it was like coming from every direction. And so I just came up with something. It was a combination of different modalities I've done, and it really, I could clear something in a minute. And so it allowed me to really just track all of these past lives. Pretty much everything has had this past life anchor, and if I could just go there, I could just clear it. And it was just this rapid moving through everything. It was like anything that I had a problem with, I was like, right, that all has this past life anchor. And if I could go there, it would just clear it. It'd be like the next 5 minutes, I wouldn't be even able to remember the problem that I had 5 minutes ago.
Perfect.
So that was that was happening before. That was leading up to the meditation where we birth a new world.
Yeah.
But today's meditation was very profound in a different way. Like, I think the one that we did independent of this group was like being a newborn baby, whereas this one felt like, all right, ignition time to own my power and time to get going. The fear, like the power, what my power was power to create new realities, like the power to birth new realities. And the fear was of that being co-opted by people who would use it to hurt people or to do it for, I just got a sense that had happened, and because I'd been sensitive, as a healer, I could feel the impacts of that, on the negative impacts that had had on the people that the power was abused on. And there's this upper limiting thing of like, I won't get too powerful, because the last time I got too powerful, my powers were misused by somebody else. I didn't have any necessarily felt like I had any control over that, and I could feel the impact of that on the people that it was used on. But what I came up with after that, like what I saw was the truth was that I don't have any control over how anybody. Well, once it's left me, I don't have any control over what happens. Right? Once I do a healing or once I do anything, I don't have any control over how that lands with somebody. I don't have any control over how somebody feels about my healing, and so I don't have any control over. I don't have any egoic gratification whether that person benefits from it, or I don't have any necessarily need to own if that was negative for that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as a healer, meaning any type of healer, but when I used to do strictly healing work, I carried a huge amount of responsibility and obligation for other people. Oh, did it fix them? Didn't it? What if they don't like it?
Yeah.
And then the other side of what you're talking about, and all of us have experienced this in other lives. It's why the number one fear that's coming up are past life agreements and vows to stay small, to stay quiet, to not lead, to not speak up, to share our power, is because that did happen. And we saw the horrific consequences of that. And yet, if we stay the road of being the light and empowering those that come to us, we have to trust that the cumulative power of the good or the light, right, is going to prevail. And so the more
and also
expand and contract, it doesn't help. Yeah.
The other insight I got was the reason that the robbery occurred was because I ended up like getting benefit from that, right? So even if something incredibly negative happens, there's still the potential for massive empowerment and massive growth to happen from that event.
Yes.
So I think that has helped me to let go of this kind of secondary guilt or a feeling of, oh my God, I can't be spiritually powerful because this, and this is going to happen. And, I think I also had to feel the grief of, the self-forgiveness of the grief of how that felt to hurt people or whatever.
Yeah.
But ultimately that could have been an opportunity for them to also step into their power.
Exactly.
Right?
Or to
so it's not
use of that power. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I keep saying, there is no such thing as a failure or right or wrong. Yes, from our perspective, we want to keep lifting the energy. That's how we stand. But what's happened on the planet is the idea that, oh my gosh, we have to control the people who are doing bad things with the energy.
Mhm.
We have to
Yeah.
them and make rules and make this, and all we are doing is constricting the energy as a whole, and all of us who are holding the light. And when we acknowledge, thank you for this gift of pain or grief or loss or failure,
Mhm.
because we perceive it as a bad thing. Instead,
Mhm.
everything is opportunity. For several years after my daughter died, my header on my website said, everything is opportunity, period.
Mhm.
I don't care what has happened to you, and I don't mean that from an uncompassionate place. I'm saying look for the friggin' opportunity inside of it, and that's the truth. So when we have,
Mhm.
oh, we're doing great, boom, this looks like a bad thing. Oh, I've had to realize that
Mhm.
as I move into higher levels of power and leadership, there's certain people or situations that can't be with me anymore. It's not a bad thing. It's just I'm over here. I used to have a fear that if I went as fast as I wanted to energetically, I would be alone.
Mhm.
I said, well, if I go as fast as I want, I'll leave everything behind and there won't be anyone there. No, there's a whole nother group there that is the perfect place. And when we leave a trail of light behind and we move through the darkness, meaning move through those moments when it looks like, why the hell did this happen? This looks horrible. My mother died, this happened, that happened. No, none of it is bad. We're all eternal. And yes, we grieve and hurt at a human level, but the I, right? The eye that we went through, the eye of the needle, the eye of that opportunity always signifies an opportunity to gain, to claim
Mhm.
that new level of power. That situation will not limit me. That
Mhm.
situation will not let me backpedal,
Mhm.
let me become smaller, let me believe in fear or darkness.
Yeah.
That situation will ignite new powers within me. And now I'm ready to go to the next level. Thank you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
So I think it's absolutely phenomenal how you've handled that situation, because when it embodies us, it's one thing. When it embodies our family, it's a whole other thing, right?
Mhm.
We have a
Yeah.
love for our family and our loved ones and our children that are protective, and we often hold ourselves back thinking that the things that we're moving into will hurt them, and we definitely want to hold them in light and love them and nurture them. But
Yeah.
congratulations, truly honoring you for the way that you've handled it, the way you've walked through it, and the way you've taken the gift of it to empower yourself and not to play small anymore, stay
Mhm.
small. So
Yeah, and that was probably part of it as well, the family aspect. That's probably something that's held me back, is that fear of the family being hurt. And I think that was helping me to realize that they're more resilient than I maybe think.
yeah, and
Yeah.
each of them, right? Their own
Mhm.
being. They have
Yeah.
been fully aware at some level of that experience,
Mhm.
or they wouldn't be a part of it, right? There is
Yeah.
agreement, there is a choice, there is a vibrational match at some level, conscious or not, in every person that experiences everything. I am in
Mhm.
no way condoning or agreeing with,
No.
torture and abuse or anything else at any level. But at this point, part of our mastership is acknowledging that feeling pity and low vibration energies like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh, poor you. That empowers people to be powerless. This is
Yeah.
not the place to be, to honor our children and all those that we love, that, hey, you chose this, and maybe part of my journey is to be a role model, is to be the one that holds the light or helps you heal or helps you find the joy or
Mhm.
the light or the diamond inside of it. Yes,
Mhm.
right? But
Yeah.
that's
That
what's
polarity.
hmm?
The balancing of the polarities, and it's only through the balancing of that polarity that we're going to ascend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
exactly.
some people might be on an express train to ascension by going through torture or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I figured out once I got on what I call a spiritual path, like wakened to the awareness that there wasn't just about paying your bills and getting good grades. When I got on that level, I read every book I can, and I only wanted to read autobiographies. I wanted real stories of real people who'd been through shit and then what they did with it. And because I was like, okay, I don't want a theory and I don't want a technique. I want to know you went through something worse than I did and you did this. And after a certain number of years of reading that, I thought, oh, do you see that everyone who had a crappy childhood is up here? Right? That if we went along like I had the perfect parents and I had the perfect this and everything was perfect, there's no growth inspiration, right? There's no internal inspiration for growth and for like leaving your family and finding yourself and all that stuff that happens to teenagers and all that fun stuff, right? And yet that's all designed so perfectly. We're with the perfect family to poke us in the perfect ways, to be mean or bullies or whatever it is, that we go, wait a minute, at some point, that's not who I am anymore, and I'm going to move forward into something new. So, well, thank you for sharing your beautiful goddess with that. Love you. Great. Who else would like to share? I hear something. How about John?
Okay, you there?
Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll start back. Last week was good to do the reactivation, spend more time on really my daily practice. I'm definitely starting to be more aware, and we'll say the veil is lifting. Yes, I've also had more physical presence of stuff happening, losing a week of work and truck being down and stuff like that. So I was okay with it and just went with it. Everything, of course, is working out well now. And I did have a nice couple of dreams. One of them was a white buffalo. And there was also another animal in that one, but I looked it up at the time, and it was all part of what I was going through and good to come. So that was comforting. So are you getting this?
Yeah, absolutely. White buffalo is huge, big. Worked with white buffalo calf woman, and it's about peace and uniting all the tribes, and incredibly auspicious.
And as far as I agree probably with everybody else, during this activation, I wasn't able to go deeply with each little aspect, but it's all about being seen, being heard. Definitely part of my biggest fears, and I have inklings, or potentials or agreements for that, but at some point they'll surface fully. But during this activation, I did see, we'll say, a sun or an eye with a nice rays around it. It was a shade of green and kind of like a golden yellow or orange, which was real nice. And then I saw deep, intense, like electrified, I'm going to call it opals, but it also kind of transformed into galaxies. So.
Nice. Beautiful.
So I guess, yeah, so I'm things are happening, but not to the level I'd like them to happen at this time, but it's all good.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you shared that because that's a really common thing for, I think, everybody here. We've all been in that place and we're always in that place to some degree, like, give me it all right now. And so that's why I'm always focusing on saying you're going to go from where you are to the next place. Don't compare yourself to someone else. You're ready, what is optimal for you at this time, because you can have an expansion that is extremely unpleasant physically and can create all kinds of drama. And what we want to do is create the opening and then the next opening and the next opening and trust. It is incredibly hard to trust. I'm not the good person at that. I've spent decades trying to be good at that. I don't in the least bit acknowledge that that is simple and easy. And yet I want to affirm for you that you're in the right place at the right time. You're taking the actions you need to take. You're taking the steps, and it's all moving forward. So the beautiful thing is wherever any of us are, however you're experiencing this, to really acknowledge and experience it as a moment of transformation. And okay, I don't know what this is going to mean, but it's always good. It's always good, right? It's one step, boop. Sometimes we jump up a whole floor, one step, boop, another floor. And the acknowledgement that either we're not seeing exactly what we want to see, meaning the clients, the money, the love, the whatever, and that it's there, and it's not that, oh, I'm so stupid, I can't see it. My life would be perfect right now. No, it's the transformation, it's the transmutation of becoming that which is ideal to receive and experience what we have in our vision. Our visions are often so big and expansive, and that's perfect because it's leading us towards something, and yet we're taking the steps towards it. So, and you're coming to the next retreat, so it's going to be amazing.
Oh, I know. I knew. I was looking forward to that since the last one.
Oh,
so
great. Well, love you, sweetie. Mwah.
love you.
All right. Anyone else want to share? Anna, Linda, Karen. Who else have we got here? On the phone, Michelle, Argan.
Hey, Nan, it's Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hello. Gosh, the last week has been amazing. I was invited to ride up to just above Seattle with a friend to stay for a week in a little log cabin. So I went and experienced the meditation last week from up there, which I'm still recovering from. I don't even know if that's the right word.
Oh, I understand.
But it was so amazing, so powerful, and I literally was probably in bed for most of the next 3 days, and up and down, and but I feel like, let me just back up. Prior to leaving for the week, I had a week of hell with my ex-husband. We're trying to get the house ready to sell, and everything was just, it was a nightmare that week. And I left town feeling pretty traumatized by the whole thing and not knowing how I was going to handle it when I got back. But from the point of that meditation on, I was able to just release it all. And I'm in a space now where it just feels like it's just such a sense of well-being, and that none of it matters. It's going to get worked out. And I almost feel like I am still in a womb, like I'm just insulated from the drama of it all, and yet I am in a space where I'm free to see it completely differently, and have gotten a lot of clarity on how to move forward. So I'm super excited about that. And
Perfect.
the other thing that the interesting thing was at the end of the week, the friend that I had ridden up with, she said, you know, there's something special about this place. And I said, yeah, what are you feeling? Because I was feeling it too. And she said, it feels like we're in a womb. We're in this little cabin that's surrounded by giant redwood trees. And she said, it's just the most peaceful, beautiful, loving space I've been in a long time. And I thought it was interesting that she had used that word. But
I love it.
coming back, I'm realizing that I'm not, I don't know how to say this. I've had this sense of being, oh, it's like Jonathan said it perfectly with the sandbox thing. It was, I feel like I don't fit in my life anymore. And I'm not really relating to anybody on the same level than I was. But it's okay. And so that sandbox picture really helped me put it in a different perspective.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And today I didn't know what I was going to experience. And I didn't experience anything consciously because I fell asleep almost at the very beginning. So I'm looking forward to the recording.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And thank you for letting that be what it is, right? So acknowledging and letting it be, okay, I fell asleep or whatever. We have to trust that there's a part of us that has that cosmic intelligence to say, this is how I needed to go through this in this moment. And the beautiful thing is we have the recording and you can repeat it when you're ready and you can repeat it on a conscious level. But not all of our transformation or our ascension processes are conscious. They don't need to be. Our conscious mind can't really conceive of some of the shit that's happening. And so we perceive it as feeling as we're in a womb or feeling safe or feeling free or feeling powerful or feeling like we're ready to make a new decision or that, you know, we're going to take an action towards something that's long overdue, like Jonathan said. And so all of that is perfect. And this is, again, another layer of letting go of that part of us that says it needs to be this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're moving into realms and energies and experiences and realities that we're not really used to. And so that's part of being in the flow, being the person like Michelle is designed to be sort of like, ooh, okay, we're going here, we're going there, and being in that place. So beautiful. Well, I'm excited to see you here in San Francisco soon.
Oh, I can't wait.
Love you, sweetie.
I love you. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? I hear someone.
Hey there, it's me, Morgan.
Hi.
Hi. You know, I'm kind of shy about speaking up, but there were two things that I wanted to say. One thing is, I have really carried with me how wonderful it was that at your workshop, you greet everybody with a hug. And it's part of the way that you embody being loved. It has just stayed with me. And I so appreciate that. Thank you. The other thing is, I tend to kind of lapse in and out of consciousness as this goes on. Oh, honey, my heart is just opening. I can just feel it like a flower petal. You and I have a shared history of a great amount of pain. And I'm not where you're at in terms of being a healer to others. But I see and admire the transformational process, the alchemical process of transmuting that pain into being a vessel of love. Thank you, Nan.
Thank you, sweet.
I think I want to stop there. I don't want to go to the second thing. I just want to let that be it. Thank you.
Thank you. So much love to all of you. I do hope I get to hug all of you in person sometime, but I get to hug you all every time we're together energetically. And of course, our paths have come together as they wind into infinity and beyond in such a beautiful way. So thank you, Morgan. All right, so if anyone else wants to speak up, please unmute. If you were there hesitating, just jump in, please, please. And in the meantime, I'm going to wrap up a few things, and we're going to take a short break. Oh, hello, who's that? What do you have to say?
And before we go, it's Michelle. I wanted to thank you too. I kind of felt the same as Marjane just shared, but I also want to say that I'm just chewing on everything right now. And the biggest thing I took away that I'm conscious of is my biggest fear of being a destroyer, because actually I really want to kick some ass on the planet. And I'm tired of like being the nice girl. And I'm just kind of playing with that right now. And then the other thing that you said to me when you and I had just had that chat recently was to take this time that feels like so much illusion and to sort of let it fuel me. And I've been really sitting with that. And if you have anything extra I'm sorry about my dogs, anything extra to say about that, that would be helpful. Other than that, I'm just chewing on everything right now.
Wonderful. I love that. I love that idea of chewing on everything. And I love the idea of stop being the nice girls. So I want to qualify quickly before I comment further on. I'm not talking about go out and be an asshole, go out and hurt people. That's not what we're talking about. But many of us women and a lot of us men have been playing nicey nice for our lives. I'm the epitome of the nice girl. My sister was a bitch, and she's still in my parents' eyes the esteemed god of the all. And so I was constantly playing this little dancing game, trying to be the nicey nice person to make everybody happy. And I played that pattern out through much of my life. And there's nothing wrong with loving people, helping people, serving people, and caring about people. But I actually went through a phase where I came up with a class that I never did called Kill the Nice Girl. And I think it was called Kill the Nice Bitch or something like that. And what that really means is that brainwashing, that concept within us that says, I have to please people or they won't like me or I won't belong. That goes to a very primordial fear that we have of not belonging. And if you have a memory of any of your past lives that are really prominent, mine, I was part of a small village. Something that I did, being nicey nice, going out like, oh, let's just love everybody, caused for some bad things to happen to the village. I was then outcast and I died alone in the woods and froze to death starving. And that's definitely a part of the pattern that I've lived out in this life, understanding that pattern and realizing that need to belong is such a powerful need. And we do belong. We're here. We're one. And yet we have that concept that if we're not pleasing other people, we won't belong. And we have very real life experiences of that. Sadly, and not sadly, I have many women clients and some men clients as well over the years who have partnerships or relationships, husbands or wives, and primarily, and then it of course it's repeated into our family patterns, our kids and our parents and things like that are very controlling, that are visibly, if you do this, I'm not going to do that. If you do that, I'm removing my money, I'm removing my support, I'm removing my love, I'm removing my approval. And I literally went through that most of my life because my primary pattern, whereas Michelle has shared with us, hers is orphan, mine is outcast. And so I constantly create a relationship or a situation where I am different than the group. I am outcast from the group. Now that I have chosen to embody that as part of my power, because I know that as a leader, which is something I would never have said in the past, in a certain sense, I can't be like everyone else. I can't fit in. I can't worry about what they think. I can't belong, because if I do, I am not able to embody the fullness of who I am and expand into something that maybe isn't like something like nobody's ever seen before, including me. And that's the truth for all of you. You're expanding into something you've never been, and your family has never been, and the people in your community have never been. And so in order to be that fully embodied, loving leader, that love needs to come into ourselves. And yes, we have that dichotomy of how could I be lovable? How can I be good enough? How can I be worthy of being happy or rich or relaxed or in love or whatever we want, if I'm not living up to what they, whoever they are, think I should be. Well, what everyone else wants us to be is to make them feel good. So it feeds their limitations, their fears, and their beliefs and karmic patterns. And that's not why we're here. We're not there to satisfy our mother or our daughter or our teacher or our husband or our leader or our government or our country. We're not here to do that, not anymore. I had a daughter, and then she died. And then a year or so later, I adopted my twins at birth. And they were extremely tiny. They fit in my hands. Can't believe it now, but they did. And I brought them home from the hospital. And I was terrified. I luckily had one for 2 weeks before the other one came home. And I was in a constant mode of like, I have to keep these little beings alive. And when they were about 8 months old, my mother came, I mean, she lived near me, so she came over a lot, but she came over one day. And I'm like in survival mode. I'm 24/7 with these two tiny babies trying to keep people alive. And my house, quite honestly, was not a disaster. It was very nice. But she opened the drawer for the silverware, and the spoons and the forks and the knives were not all perfectly in alignment. I think some of the big spoons were mixed with the small spoons, and she had a fit. She started to bitch and complain and criticize me, which was her pattern, which was the pattern that was gifted to her and the pattern that she does to herself. And she was like, what's the matter? What's wrong with you? Why can't you keep things in order around here? And so on and so forth. And it was one of those moments where I decided to speak my truth rather than to be quiet and try to please her, because I had learned to please her because my sister was very mean and I was trying to be the nice one. And I stopped and I said, you know, I thought, good God, I've got two tiny babies. I'm juggling all this, and I'm, you know, you can't ever say anything nice to me. Why can't you ever tell me I'm a good mother? I adopted these children, and the woman who gave me her children compliments me more than you do. And her response was, it's not my job to make you feel good about yourself. And she left the house. And that was a gift. It wasn't a gift at the moment, but it was a gift because it's true. It's not anyone's job to make us feel good about ourselves. And yet that's what we've been taught to look for, is for that validation from outside of ourselves, from those we love and those we don't love, to be good enough to speak up. And we use that as the stair step to keep speaking. Oh, I did well in that talk. And these people like me. This many people bought my stuff. That's good. I'll speak up a little bit more. Well, now is the moment that we all have the opportunity to say, it doesn't matter the response I receive back. I'm following my path no matter what. And every one of you is doing that by being here and by challenging the beliefs of who you've been and challenging the things you thought you were supposed to be and moving forward, looking for the positive, looking for the opening, looking for the light in everything that we do.
I agree. And one more thing, come on. Oh, sorry. So I took a part-time job as a waitress, and I guess I suck or something because I didn't do it right and whatever. And I swear to God, I was in the middle of the restaurant just going like, everybody just give me your judgment. No, tell me how bad I am. Tell me, again, I'm doing all this, and they probably thought I was really crazy too. I didn't do it out loud, but I was doing it internally. Because I've heard of this thing, the more judgment we can receive, the more free we are. And it's so much easier said than done, because I was really freaking trying to do a good job. And it just wasn't working, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, you know, and so I was practicing like eating it as an illusion. Like I'm just like, I think I heard somebody once call like the Cookie Monster of consciousness. Just eat it all up there, like all their illusions, all their projections, all their attacks, all the making wrong. I mean, this lady was basically the biggest witch ever. She was just abusive. And I was like, I don't deserve this. Like, what is wrong with these people? And anyways, that's what recently happened. But I really feel like I'm in a good space because I just looked at it as it was part of the illusion that I am trying to rise above emotionally, psychically, spiritually, so that anytime that happens, I do not have to get pulled down for more than a very short moment of learning and growth. So, and this is my question though. I have to believe that I'm going to live to see the day where people like us are treated with some respect and some kindness, and for the nobility of our hearts and our souls. I tell you, if I don't see it, it's going to hurt my heart so much, because I believe that that's what this shift of consciousness is about. And when I see the insanity going on the planet, and the meanness and the criticism and all the stuff, it just, I guess I know that I want to hear, I guess I need to hear you say that there's hope for that. And that's the last piece that I have. Because if not, I feel like this destroyer part of me, you know what I mean? It's like I've got this part of me that's just like, it's not okay what's happening, and I don't know what to do with it quite yet. And
well, I don't it's not okay what's happening, and so it's okay to unleash her. And you know, you should connect to Callie. You know Callie?
Mhm. Yeah.
So if any of you are unfamiliar with Callie, look her up. She is seriously scary. She used to scare the shit out of me. Okay, she is like, has 6 arms and swords, and she's like the destroyer goddess, right? She's just like kind of loose. And when I finally made peace with her was in my divorce, because in my divorce, it's pretty obvious things need to end. And as painful as it was, we both needed to be freed from that. And so I unleashed her on that, and I'm like, fuck it, you know? Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. The part that you need to release is hope. Hope is a low vibration. It helps you from a lower vibration, but once you hit hope, you need to move into acceptance. You need to move into neutrality. You need to move into something else. And so let go of the hope that it is, right? Yeah, and say, I'm leading. When you're leading, you don't get to see the way. You're cutting the way through the jungle. You're the one hacking the weeds. You don't see the path. That's why it's so fucking hard to lead. That's why it's like we feel like we go to bed at night crying ourselves to sleep. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. All this pain, all this judgment, all this backlash. Mm-hmm. But it's the attachment to needing that affirmation from outside of us that holds that back. Because everything you're doing, every time you take that step and say, you know what? Every mean thing that those people said, every mean thing that happened, every failure, every perception of this not working.
I got a lot of fertilizer. You said so.
A lot of fertilizer. There you go. That's right. Tons and tons of fertilizer. Like, we're literally standing in the most rich soil, and yet we don't see it that way because we're attached to that emotion. What we want to do is invite in the love from you, from the higher parts of you, right? From Gaia, from these other places. These are the parts that aren't going to affirm us in an egotistical way. They're not going to be like, oh, honey, it's okay. Tomorrow will be better. It's a part of us that's like, honey, realize who you are. You know, we talked about this, right? People are enslaved and imprisoned in their mind that they have to be attached to a job, to being okay, to being acceptable, to being liked, to selling X amount. I don't know how many people I've told recently in the coaching type industry, stop trying to be what they say. Most of it is fake. Most of it is illusion. It's not always a smooth path. You are not the only person not making it. And what they're spreading is manure on the wall. So dive into their shit, use it for your own, and come out the other side telling the truth. The people will, if they'll smell it, they'll feel it, right? There's so many people that are blind that are following these different things, and it's not working, and they're very aware of it. And so you free everyone else when you say, you know what, you're a bitch and you were mean, and you know what, thank you, because this is not where I'm supposed to be, or this is, you know, what I am going to give out is going to be so much bigger than this, you know. Yeah. And you're going through the thick of it, the mud of it, right? The deepest part of it where the roots are. And that's the beauty of it. And it's the hardest part. So I want to acknowledge you. I want to give you the love for being the person who's willing to not be attached. I remember years ago, I think I shared it with years ago, the last time I had a job, quote unquote, I started a pet sitting business. I left LA after my fashion design business crashed. I moved there. I got a job in the business, the fashion business, to get my job, to get my house. And then I quit immediately. And then I became aware of this whole world of pet sitting. So I started a pet sitting business, but it wasn't enough to make money. So I also started cleaning houses, and I got a job as a receptionist at this place. It was a beautiful condo development, and the guy owned art galleries and all kinds of stuff. And it was me and two other women, and then a doctor's office that had a woman who worked there. And I worked a half a day, and mainly I did nothing but answer phone. And so I did some stuff. And I was on my spiritual path. I was finding people in New Mexico who were teaching things. And so I would say, could I have an extra day off over the weekend to go to this retreat? Could I have and over a year, I think I worked there almost a year, I took a certain amount of time off. The lady who had the other half of my job took as much or more time off, but we were fine with it. I came to a point in my training where I said, I need a week off. They went to the boss, who I never saw. I came back and said, no, you take too much time off. And I'm thinking, but she takes more time off, right? Their perception was not that. She was able to be a kind of person that appeared to them like she was doing everything right. And she was taking no time off. And I was the one always asking for a favor. And I just stared at this woman like, really? Like, I've tracked it, and we trade time. Like, I took her shift, she took my shift. She owes me time. She owes me more than this week off. Well, that wasn't their perception. So they said, no.
Perception-itis. People always, everybody else can be doing it, but I'm the one who's, it's like happens like all the time. It's almost like a laughing joke now. I'm just, yes. and I end up writing letters. I'm like the letter writer. Like I report, you know, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Anyways, I won't take any more time because I got it. I'm going to chew on all this fertilizer, and there's going to be a lotus that's coming. So I'm just going to see what happens.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And thank you. You know, and the thing that I realized after that, because I said, fine, I quit. They said, you can't have the time off or quit. And I quit. And the woman that I was really good friends with who ran the place, she came to me and she's freaked out. She's like, oh my God, but you're going to lose your job. And I'm like, did you think this was my life? Did you think this job was my life? Like, this was like a thing to feed my life. I don't have any attachments to it, and you don't have any attachments to it, and that's what they perceive. Their prison is their attachment to that job in that moment, and they can't possibly conceive the kind of freedom that you have in your body and your energy. In my mind, when I was like, okay, fine, I'll leave. Oh my God, what are you going to do? I'm like, are you kidding me? This was just something to move me to my goal. And then she came to me the next day and said, I looked it up, and you're right. She's taken 2 more weeks off than you have. How come we think differently? That's called perception. And the perception is part of the illusion we are projecting because we need to move through our own patterns. And so when we don't have the attachment to what other people are afraid of, we're free, and it pisses them off. Right? It pisses off our family. It pisses off our coworkers. It pisses off people who feel completely mired in the fear that they have to have that job or they have to be that person in order to survive. And you don't, and I don't, and none of you do. So thank you for being that light.
Yep.
Love you, sweetie.
Thank you. I love you too.
All right, good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take about a 10-minute break, and we're not going to do any Palm Pilots, we're not going to portals, we're not going to do anything else. We've had a complete and amazing experience, and I'm going to come back in 10 minutes and do a healing session with Ronnie. And so go ahead and do whatever you need to do in the next 10 minutes, and hopefully you can come back and join us. And what we'll do is I'm going to model for you a 30-minute energy healing session with Ronnie. And then afterwards, we'll stay on for her feedback and for your feedback. So if you're able to stay, it's wonderful to hear how you perceived it or saw it and what kind of questions that you have. So at this moment, we're going to complete class 7. And so I'm just going to beautiful. Create that space with its open and unbroken, and thank our guides and our energies for everything that we've experienced in this moment, everything that is opening for us in this time frame, and to guide us and be with us in every moment in all of our thoughts, feelings, and actions, that we may take a step forward every day in every way, even when the perception is darkness, fear, or pain. We will step forward knowing and trusting that the path will be lit for us and that we are on the exact path we're meant to be. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. So let me see what time it is.